room full of young entrepreneurs, publishers, big companies, affiliates, marketers, and it says a lot about where the future of our region is, of the Arab world, and where it is going in this part of the world, and the digital revolution that you guys who are in here in this room are going to lead. So thank you for being part of this conversation as well. My name is RAMTANI BADREDDINE. I am Algerian. I worked in one of the largest publishers in the world within Rocket Internet. So I'm loving this vibe. I'm loving the conversations. I'm loving the presentations. It's a really interesting business model for me. I worked in Rocket Internet for about 2 years, and I had the chance to travel around the world and to meet with almost every affiliate network there is out there. So it's really humbling. It's really interesting for me to be part of this. Today, as you can see in the presentation, I work in Google as a strategist in the headquarters of EMEA in Dublin. And as a strategist, what I do is that I work with some of the largest companies in the region, in the MENA region, to help them develop their own AdWords strategies to make sure that they perform at the best possible way that they can. And I've been told, and I understand that in today's conversation, where almost all publishers in here, I'm going to focus on the idea of performance. What I mean by this is that how can I spend a certain amount of money? How can I take the most out of it within Google products? So I'm also gonna have to say that I'm going to focus as well only on ads, which means that I'm not going to go into conversations about AdSense or SEO. I'm just going to focus on the ads business, which platforms they are, and how you can use them in the best way possible. I'm going to try to hit the basics. I'm going to want you at some point, and I'm going to tell you, take off your phones, take a picture of this slide, because it can serve you as a guideline of how you can utilize Google products moving forward. Yeah. So I mentioned earlier on, and I'm going to start slowly, I mentioned earlier on that you guys are going to be the one leading a digital revolution. This digital revolution is already happening. See, things have moving extremely fast. And I remember 10 years ago, I had an assignment at school, and it was about saying something about the populations of Africa or something like this. And in the past, in order for me to get information, what I needed to do is I had these encyclopedia CDs. There was like 10 of them. And I took them all, and I went to an IBM computer, and you had to wait for like an hour and making a lot of searches to find any information. Today is very funny. If a website doesn't load in 4 seconds, I'm out. Digital revolution is really happening. The world is getting more and more complex every day. And as marketers, we here in the room, it opens a lot of new opportunities for us in how we can interact with our audiences. But it's also getting even more and more complicated, so we need to train ourselves constantly about the changes that are happening and trying to understand in the best way possible what's currently happening out there and how our users are behaving with our ads. Today, our users are 3 things. They're curious, they're demanding, and they're completely impatient. Actually, the focus span in today in one ad is less than 3 seconds. That's less than the memory of a goldfish. Today, we as humans, we have less than the focus of a goldfish when we're browsing on the internet. So you need to make sure, in order to perform well within the publishing world and within the marketing and the advertising world, you need to make sure that your ads are completely perfect, so that you capture the attention and you make sure that you provide your users with the best experience possible out there. Today, your users are expecting you to provide them with relevant ads, and they want them to be assistive. See, it's not to the user to adapt to your ads. It's for you. You need to adapt to what the users want. And throughout this conversation, I'm going to give you some basics, what you need to do in order to get there. I'm going to throw a word, machine learning, that I'm going to utilize a lot through this conversation. See, we hear about this word a lot. I think that in every single conversation I've seen Sundar Pichai, who is the CEO of Google, talking, he always used the word machine learning, and it's for a reason. It's a big buzzword. What does that mean? Machine learning is an algorithm that can find patterns in existing data, and it creates basically these insights to uncover new sets of data. See, in the past, machines, you would use them and you would program to perform a function. Today, with machine learning, and that's what it is that we give machines an objective, a target. I want you to bring me conversions. I want you to bring me conversions at this price. I want you to only focus on the people who are going to be traveling next week. So you give a certain amount of objective to your machine. You provide it with a certain set of data, and it's going to be the machine that is going to learn by itself how it performs, and it gets to your objective in the best way possible, much faster than what you will ever do manually. Google manages 70 million insights in every second. That's something that a human will never be able to do. I'm mentioning this because I'm going to guide us through the machine learning throughout this presentation. And I mentioned also that you need data to achieve that. And I think we can all agree that within Google it has one of the best sets of products that allows you to capture the magnitude of data. In fact, Google has 7 properties that have more than 1 billion users. 7 properties. We're 7 billion people in this world. And we have 7 products that each captures more than 1 billion monthly users. That gives us the availability not to capture what's happening in search alone, or what's happening on YouTube alone, or what's happening on Android alone, but we combine all of these data to create sense with machine learning to help advertisers, you, to perform in the best way that you can. So let's start. Now we know that we have the data that we need. Now we know that today's conversations are going, today's experiences, users' experiences are getting more and more complex. What you need to do first is to identify your goals and your objectives. Are you within the e-commerce? Are you within the lead gen? Are you a subscription website? Do you drive store visits, or do you do a mixture of all of the above? See, I mentioned this very clearly because when you define your KPI, that will translate into how you can utilize Google products. So this part is really important. And if you want to be in one, you better know what you're getting yourselves into. Let me guide you through that. This is going to follow me throughout the presentation, this funnel. See, every purchase decision that you have ever made in your entire life follows this funnel. First, you become aware of the existence of something. You become aware of the existence of a product or a service. Second, you consider buying that product or that service. Third, you buy it. And fourth, if you liked it, you'll have the possibility to come back and then purchase it again. And that's valid for every single thing that you have in your hands, and for everything that you're wearing, for the food that you eat, the restaurants that you go to, that's valid for everything. And the same way, your users follow the same path as well. So we talked also about how the past it was simple. Before, Google was providing you with this. There's no need to take a picture, you take a picture of the next slide. See, in the past, this was it. In order for you to build awareness, you launch a YouTube campaign. You want to do some consideration, you can do some Google display ads. If you're focusing on the action part, you launch a Google search ads. And if you want to grow some loyalty, you can use all of these with a little bit of audiences. Now today, the world is getting way more complex, and Google is also going to follow this trend. We need, and we are today providing you with the best sets of ads, services, platforms, and channels that allow you to capture the current complexity. This is the picture, this is the slide you need to take a picture of. See, today, at the end of the day, if you want to capture, let me go on this side. With the new complexity that there is outside, if you want to build awareness today, you'll have the possibility to choose in between YouTube or GDN with custom affinity audiences. If you're looking to create an influence or influence consideration, then you can also use the exact same products, which are GDN and YouTube, and use them with an in-market or similar audiences as an ad. If you want to drive purchase, you have a tremendous set of products. You have the possibility to use search, display, YouTube, shopping, UAC, YouTube for performance, smart display campaigns. All of them, you can use them with some custom intent audiences, remarketing audiences, custom match audiences as well. And if you want to create some loyalty, then you're going to utilize some ads that is going to allow you to build that, and you can utilize also all the sets of the Google products going from display to YouTube to search. Now, how are we going to utilize that? So I know that we're all publishers in here, and our focus is always going to be performance. I don't want to, BADREDDINE, to talk to me about a product that is going to cost me more than X CPA. I need to make sure that I'm driving performance, and I need to make sure that I'm driving it at the costs that are required for me. So that's the reason why today, I'm not going to focus on everything. I'm just going to focus on the performance side, which is the yellow part, the drive purchase. And more specifically, I'm going to focus on two sets of products, on GDN and on search. I'm going to guide you through that, how you can utilize them in the best way possible. Let's start with number one, Google Display Ads. See, Google Display Network today covers around 95% of the internet users, of the global internet users. So we're not only covering Morocco, we're not only covering Algeria, we're not only covering the Arab world, we're covering a tremendous amount of sets of countries. And when we do this, we need to utilize the products that allows me to reach them in the best way possible, and display campaigns today reaches around 95% of all of the audiences. There are three things that you need to focus on seriously when launching a display ad. In fact, this applies to every single Google product. In fact, that is applicable to every single advertising product you will ever use, whether it is Google or not. First, you need to make sure that you're using the best creatives that are out there that captures exactly the story that you want to tell. It's really important. I know I've been there. I know it's boring, I know it takes a lot of time, I know you just want to get rid of it, I know you don't really want to care. Trust me, it has all of the impact. You can spend all the money you want. If you miss one of these, you're not going to perform well, and you're not going to have the CPA that you want. So focusing on the creative is absolutely essential to the health and the success of our ads. 2, targeting. Who is the audience that I'm showing these creatives to? In which format? When? Why? See, targeting is really important, and it is going to come back to the machine learning conversations that we had earlier in this presentation. Number 3 is the bidding. Which bidding strategy I am using for every single set, if you remember the funnel, and for every goal that I'm trying to achieve. Am I trying to reach more people? Am I trying to get some conversions? Am I trying to get some actions that happens with these ads? See, every single goal or KPI you will have as a business is going to be influenced by these sets in here. And that's why I really wanted to take my time to guide you through that. For some of you, this may be boring, but trust me, this is the basics that everybody needs to ace before moving forward. Let's start with number 1, creatives. Let me spend some time on that. See, display campaigns has 4 different platforms, 4 different channels that you can use. Dynamic ads, responsive ads, smart display campaigns, and Gmail ads. Each has a different DNA. Each has a different identity. Each you want to interact with it and use some different creatives, more so than another. But I'm going to share with you the things that captures the entirety of it. Dynamic campaigns, I think, these are the ones that we're most familiar with. These are the ones that includes the text ads. These includes the the normal display ads that we have always been familiar with. It's dynamic because it adapts itself to how's it called? To the website in which it is. Now, responsive ads, this is where we're going. Responsive ads, in just a few months, actually, this is going to be the only type of ads, display ads, that you're going to have. So we need to make a switch towards that. Responsive ads are super interesting because what you do is you provide not only 1 or 2 or 3 pictures, but you provide a magnitude of pictures that have different colors, that have different DNA. You provide it also with a multitude of text, and depending on the landing page, then Google is going to use machine learning to provide the best user experience ad that fits perfectly that website in which it is. For example, if you have a website where your ad is showing that the background is completely dark, it's completely black, you don't want to show an ad that is white because the user experience is very bad in that. So if you provide a multitude of ads, then Google is going to understand the background of that website and create an ad specific to it so that the user experience is going to be seamless. Actually, your ad is going to look like as if it was a part of the website, not even an ad. It's going to show as if it was a part of the user experience that we built within that website. Smart display campaigns I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit, so I'm going to leave it to that. And Gmail ads, I think we're all familiar with it. So let's start a little bit about what are the things that I need to capture when I'm thinking about, when I'm putting a picture. Your image should be powerful enough to express a message to your audience without even using a text. What does this get you? When you look at this picture, immediately you would think of travels, holidays, the beach, right? Not working, relaxation. So all of these, they need to be, so the creatives that you're going to be using needs to reflect that. Create a persona of who your website is and choose the image that relates to that cause. If you're all about fun and happiness, then create ads and pictures, use creatives that captures that idea. Look for striking colors in photographs that really pop the creative interest. This is one that works really well because not only it fits well by using responsive ads with the landing pages, but it also, it pops out for the utilizers, for the users. Also, if you don't need to spell something out for someone, then don't. Instead, do it visually. Speed, cars, city. All of these are some things that I can only easily capture from this picture. Make sure that your creatives translate something. Also, it is advised when using Google products not to use any CTA overlay within the picture or within the creative. Leave it plain. Leave the CTA message to 2 things: the creative that you're using, but also the title. That's why we have titles. See, at the end of the day, so let me go back to that. Also, details of stories, they trigger intimate moments. Conceptual photography can help a brand separate itself from the crowd as well. At the end of the day, we have only a certain amount of text that we can use in an ad. So we can transfer way more with a creative that is interesting. So I know, and I hear this a lot, I do these talks a lot, I talk with a lot of you, and a lot of the time I feel that the creatives are just something where you're saying, that's interesting, let me go through with it. No, creatives matter. Creatives matter really, really much. So, another example, right? So if you're within security or something like that, a picture that screams security, is trust and confidence, can be way more effective for you as well. Picture the people that you want to add to reach. That's an interesting one. Understand who your audience is, and that's a perfect segue for me to move on to my next point. Understand who your audience is. Do you really know who the people that you're showing your ads to are? Use the pictures that capture who they are. Right? So that's a perfect segue to my next point, which is targeting, which is who are the people that I am showing my ads to? I'm going to come back to this. You can take a picture of this as well. It's interesting. So we mentioned earlier on within the funnel, and I asked you to take a picture, that was what are the Google products that you can use with this funnel. And now I'm talking about the audiences that you're going to use with this funnel. If I am trying to build awareness, then I'm going to launch any campaign that I mentioned earlier with a demographic, affinity, or custom affinity audiences. If I'm trying to influence consideration, then I'm going to create an ad that has in-market audiences, audience keywords, similar audiences within search or display. And if I'm trying to drive purchase or action or even grow loyalty, then I can utilize the Google products with audience products that is offered to me, which are all of the remarketing possibilities, the static and dynamic, and also the remarketing list for search ads, and the custom audiences as well, which are the list of the people that I already have that I can just simply with a CSV file upload to AdWords and then retarget them over and over again and trying to get the max out of it. See, at the end of the day, remarketing, the lower you go here, the lower your CPA is going to be. Because it is a funnel, because on the top there's a lot of people. That's why it is large. And the more you go down to the bottom, that's less and less and less people. So if I'm just targeting these, I'm just targeting those people or users who really have perfect interest for my product. And essentially, although you may pay a higher CPC for them, it is always going to be a lower CPA, because these are people who knows your business, these are people who converted with you or with your competitors in the past, and these are people that are going to make less clicks than the usual before making the conversion, which means lower CPA. Okay, so let's go through one by one the targeting opportunities that Google provides. First one, demographics. This is the basic one. This is where we all start. This is where it all started. Age, targeting, gender, male or female, parental status, parent or not parent. Today we added an extra layer, household income. You have the possibility to target, for example, the most wealthiest people within a certain region, and you also have a combination between the three. By raise of hand, could you tell me who here uses only demographics as their only sets of targeting in the room? So happy. There's almost nobody that raised their hand, and I'm so happy for that, because I do a lot of talks and I see a lot of people raising their hand proudly that they are only using this demographics as their targeting strategy. And to demonstrate something funny for them, I always use this. I changed the picture, of course, for Morocco. But I always use something like that. See, what are the similar things between these two? You can tell me. Moroccans? Yes. They both speak Arabic, they both speak Moroccan, they're almost the same age, they both might at some point live here in Morocco. There's a lot of similarity between them. So if I'm using demographics and location targeting, I might target these two with the exact same ad. Do you really think that Shmisha is going to look for the exact same searches as Redwan? No. They have different interests. They're going to search for different things. So you cannot focus your ads solely on demographics or on locations. You need to layer that further. Let's look at what we have. Affinity and custom affinity audiences. See, affinity audiences, because of the fact that Google has more than 7 products that have more than 1 billion users, we have the possibility to understand what's the interests of people are. So if you're on YouTube and you're watching a lot of videos about supercars, And then you go on search, and you're searching for the latest Lamborghini or the latest Ferrari. We understand that supercars are of an interest to you. You have an affinity towards these contents. I mentioned supercars, but it could also be anything. If you're interested in football and you watch that a lot, and you are on your Android account and you're actually using, Chrome to stream a football game, or you're going on search and then look for it, and then you're using YouTube to see the highlights, we understand that you have an affinity towards something, and we can do that really well. Remember, 7 products that have more than 7 billion users. All of this information is available equally to every single one of you here in the room. We don't give a better set to a certain client and not to another. Everyone has access to this information. You can right now go on AdWords and then choose an affinity that you feel your business relates to. See, the difference between, and I'm comparing here the demographics and the targeting to affinity, is very similar to this. For example, if I'm doing just targeting for demographics, I'm going to reach tremendous amount of women. If I'm doing for beauty products, I'm selling beauty products, and I do a targeting of women from 18 to 35, this is the pool of everyone. But then I can go to affinity and I just use beauty mavens. And out of everyone in there, there's just a certain amount of women that are aged between 18 and 35 that are actually interested in beauty. Not all of them are. And that's something also that you have available for you by using custom affinity or affinity audiences. All right, let's look into another one. In-market. See, in-market is an extra layer than affinity. Affinity is just an interest. I'm interested in this. In-market is when you're in the market to buy something. You're actually looking to make a purchase, right? So if we take back the example that we had about sports cars, it's when your searches become real. It's when your searches are, show me concessionnaire next to me. Where can I buy? And then you name a car. Then your behavior became more than just an interest, but you're in the market of making the purchase. Maps can also be utilized to understand this kind of behavior as well. So in markets, we're down the funnel, if you remember the funnel that I showed you earlier. Now, the people that you can use or that you can target with in markets are those who have a higher interest of making a conversion, of making a purchase or an action that you want them to. You can utilize this with every single Google product I'm talking about. Display, YouTube, search, any. Alright. Remarketing lists for search ads. These are very known to everybody, I think. Right? These are, if somebody, you can create a multitude of remarketing lists. Let's take an example. You have a website, you launch a display ads with in-market, and you brought a lot of people to your website. Some of them converted, some of them didn't. You can start another ad where you target everyone who came to your website and did not convert. And you show them a certain ad. You show them like minus 10% now on the offering that I have, because you know that they came to your website before and they didn't purchase. And for all of the converters, you can tell them loyal customers are now allowed minus 30% on the next purchase. So you start a new campaign where you target only the previous converters. These are small strategies that you can use in order to take the most out of everybody who came to your website before and maximize your profits. And by maximizing your profits, that's how you reduce your CPM. And that's how you can afford doing the testing phase where you can reach out to more clients upper funnel. Custom match, customer match. Customer match are, for example, if you're in lead gen, for example, you're not only utilizing Google, you're utilizing a lot of different channels as well. Organic, non-organic, paid, Google, and others. So when you're doing this, you're getting a lot of conversions. So what you want to do at the end of the day for customer match is that you can utilize the list of the converters that you had, upload it on Google, and reconnect with them or retarget them with a new ad. This is how you can cross-channel your profits. Not only using Google products, but also using all of the other channels that you have used in order to get your conversions. Take this list in a CSV file, re-upload it on Google, and retarget them again. Maximizing profit with customer match is also perfect. And at the end of the day, this is going to have a direct impact on how performant your CPAs are going to be as well. Similar audiences is Google's data. What I mean by that is that if you create an ad, let me move to the sign. If you create an ad, for example, and you get a lot of conversions, there's going to be, you have only captured a small portion of everybody who is in market for the product that you're offering. So what Google is going to do is it's going to understand the behavior using machine learning. It's going to understand the behavior of everyone that converted with you. It's going to go outside, and it's going to look into the market, and it's going to see, oh, all right. So there are a lot of people that have extremely similar behavior to those who converted with you. This is the list. Try it. That's similar audiences. You can go to Google and you can utilize similar audiences for any list that you have and retarget them as well. Make sure that your content fits also the goal that you're trying to achieve. This is targeting. Again, I really want to emphasize on these 2 points because I feel they're really important. The last one, also, this is worth looking into as well. Bid the right way. Bid the right way when you're using Google products and when you're actually dependent on the goal that you're trying to achieve. That's why I've divided it in 2 parts. Reach and engagement. I hear it a lot when I consult with my clients that they tell me, BADREDDINE, we did this GDN campaign, really wanted to get a lot of conversions, and we did everything we needed, but we didn't get enough engagement. And when I start asking about what are the things that they have done, or the creatives that they used, the targeting that they used, and also the bidding that they used, a lot of times it comes that they may have used viewable CPM, for example, trying to make engagement campaign. So it can work. I'm not saying that if you do viewable CPM, by definition, you're not going to get engagement. Of course not. What I'm saying is that when you put CPM or CPC or eCPC, what you're telling the system is, all right, let's take an example of this room. We're more than 1,000 people in here, right? How many of you are actually interested in buying the latest, I don't know, Rolex watch? I'm not interested. No, okay. One at least is interested in buying that, right? Well done, man. Like you have some good revenue. Not everybody is. So if I do CPC, some of you guys may be interested about knowing what the time is. Some of you may be interested about knowing what's out there. I'm interested in watches I don't want to buy, but I'm just interested in it. If you use CPC and you say, I want to put a CPC of 0.5, then every single click that comes out of all of you, you're going to pay 0.5. Including that one person that really want to make the purchase, that is actively looking for it, and everyone else who is completely not willing to make a purchase. That's what reach is. That's what CPM, CPC, and eCPC are for. That's what they're designed for. Engagement, on the other hand, CPE, maximize clicks, and especially target CPA, that's a completely different thing. Target CPA, for example, what it does is, when this exact same condition happened, one person is actively looking to buy a watch. Everyone else is interested in watches, but we know that they never convert. We are not going to pay 0.5 for every click that happens. Target CPA is going to make sure this does not happen. In fact, target CPA, what's going to do is that for everyone that we know in the past never converts online, There are some users that utilize online to get all the information that they need, and then they go offline to make a purchase. If we understand that kind of behavior, we're not even going to bid on you. We're going to reduce the amount of bids that we put on people who have shown slight interest, a little bit more higher than others. And that person that is actively willing to pay, we're not going to put 0.5. We're going to put $7 in terms of CPC for them, because we know that they have a higher interest in making the conversion more so than others. And we can do that with machine learning. So make sure you capture that. Make sure you understand which type of bidding you're using for which situation. Smart display campaign is a combination of every single thing that we have said. We can either launch a dynamic ad, a responsive ad, a Gmail ad that is actually that we do. We use the creatives. We set the title for every single creative. We make the bidding. We can do that manually, or we can just simply launch a smart display campaign. By itself, it is going to do everything that we want it to do. In fact, you give it a target CPA, you tell the system, hey, I want to get a conversion not higher than X. This is my campaign budget. These are the creative assets, cinematic. And it's going to convert. And it's going to convert. I'm not done. I have like 8 minutes, so bear with me. And it's going to take, by itself, it's going to learn, it's going to perform in the way that you want it to. All right, let's move to point number 2. Search. Right? Now, search is the most used product for performance. Every year, as I mentioned earlier on, the world gets more complex and we need to get adapting to this complexity of it. And I wanted to make sure that I don't want to leave this stage before mentioning something really important. The trends that are happening today. Guys, if today you are advertising and your website is not mobile friendly, you're losing. It may even be too late for some of you guys. You cannot, in today's industry, go to the European, go to the Asian, go to the US market with a website that is not coded or configured well enough to perform perfectly within mobile. You have to take these things seriously. There's a lot of trends that are currently happening. Trend 1, mobile. Trend 2, voice, messaging app, and connecting devices. I'm going to spend a little bit more focus on some more so than others. Mobile, as I mentioned, the majority of searches today are happening on mobile. In fact, when I was advertising my clients in the past, every single time that they tell me, BADREDDINE, could you tell us what is the rate of my clicks that are happening from mobile and what is the rate that is coming from desktop? Every single time I was going into the data, trying to understand it, and tell them, yeah, it's more on mobile than others. Today, I don't even do that. Every single analysis that I have ever made in my career at Google, every single time, more searches are happening on mobile, less are happening on desktop. Or at least it's stagnation on desktop. Now, conversions might happen on desktop still, but it does not mean that you should not invest in your mobile implementation, because that's where we're going. The sooner you get into it, the better it is going to be for your business. Voice search. So this technology, it may not be as popular in our region, but in all of the markets that you may be targeting, this is a reality. Voice search is taking more and more place. 20% of searching in Google app now comes from voice. I do that all the time. I have 3 Google Homes in my house. I only use search the majority of the time, voice search, sorry, the majority of the time. That's reality that is happening across the world. What that means for you as performance advertisers, as publishers, and affiliate networks, what that means for you is that the keywords that you're bidding on today, they are with a mindset that somebody typed them. Now within voice search, what we realize at Google is that the queries that are implemented, the keywords that are used in voice search, they're way longer. They are a phrase. It's not a keyword, it's a phrase. And then you need to be adapting to that. There's a lot of ways for you to adapt to this. Either you start utilizing better sets of keywords, or even let it to machine learning to do that on your behalf. Targeting, if you remember. We said which kind of targeting that we want to target. Maybe moving a little bit slightly further away from keywords is going to help you, although I understand the pain of you not wanting to bid on expensive keywords and you want to focus on the niche. But I'm just sharing the reality of the market and where it is. That's the same thing. One other thing, that's an interesting one, I'm glad that I put it out there. This is crazy, guys. Like, every single day you have around 3.5 billion Google searches. Every day. And every day, about 15% of these searches start complete business for longer. I want to make sure that everyone in here is also focused on where we're going next. I'm going to skip over these and connected devices, and I want to focus on this as well. See, I mentioned a little bit about targeting earlier on. There's a few ways. So I mentioned earlier on how you can do the targeting within display. And display is also applicable to YouTube. Within search, you have certain different sets. You have target outranking share, maximize click, target CPAs, maximize conversion, or CPC, eCPC, or target ROAS. Let's start with this. Target ROAS is if you're in e-commerce, if you have a list of products that you're selling within your website, then you should be using target ROAS. Target ROAS, what it does is that if you have, for simplicity reasons, let's assume you have 5 products. One product costs $1,000, one product costs $500, one product costs $100, and these two cost $1. They're the exact same product, the pricing is different. If you launch a new Google ad campaign, and you're going to put a CPC on that, you don't want to put the same focus on each, because your margin is way higher on the $1,000 product. Your commission is going to be higher as publishers, isn't it? So what you want to do is you want to use target ROAS, and the system is going to understand the costs of your product and is going to optimize the bidding accordingly. That's what target ROAS is. Target CPA, we talked about that. Maximize conversion. Maximize conversion is very kind of similar to target CPA. Target CPA wants to bring you conversion, but it just wanted to bring it at the price range that you would have set up. On the other hand, maximize conversions does not care at what price it brings it. It just want to bring conversions. So when you use maximize conversions, you want to be warned that the majority of your budget is going to be spent because it's just going to go out there and try to get you as much conversions as it can. Then you have target outrank and share. So there's some niche businesses, and that's why I wanted to focus on the business goals earlier on. There's niche businesses that will perform really well with target outrank and share. For example, lawyers, or if you're a locksmith. If you're a locksmith, it's one search that happened. You locked yourself out of your house, you need somebody to come to open the door, you make one search. That's not a search that is recurrent. That's why if you're first on the search, you have a higher probability of capturing the conversion. That's what target outranking is. Depending on which business model you're in, you may utilize that or not. With this, I think thank you very much. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you today. I'm going to be outside, so if I meet some of you, feel free to ask me the questions that you have. Okay? We're done? Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.